Hi, welcome to my video about projection and gaslighting and how I've experienced a lot of this in my last year or so with if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I had been subjected to harassment by a Campbell River City Hall Board of Variance member, so someone in our local government. um, and there was a lot of gaslighting. If you've watched that, it's a lot of gaslighting about my health, for sure. But this specifically isn't about my health. This is some gaslighting that I received from the same individual, and it's really actually incredibly creepy. You'll see really soon. But So I'm at somersetdomesticabuse.org.uk, and I am looking at their definition or their little blurb on projecting as it pertains to gaslighting. Projection. Gaslighters frequently project their own actions onto victims, shifting blame and guilt while portraying themselves as innocent. Um, we're just going to look here at some textbook examples of projection. Um, First, a few months ago, I made a comment on a Facebook post. I spoke about my experience with Ferris Sterling, and I named him. I said his name, and I said that he was very violent to me. And as a result, he ended up writing this fake cease and desist letter. It's 3 pages long. It's obviously not written with any lawyer's input. It looks like a very, average intelligence 10th grader could have done this or done a better job. And it's got a silly logo that is blurry and looks like, I think it's to make it look more official, but it actually makes it look less professional. And I think he was attempting to intimidate me here, but within this cease and desist letter, I won't read it all now. I apologize for my shaky hands. I've got medical issues and makes my hands shake. Besides this, or within this cease and desist letter, he had some threats that things he would do to me if I you know if I kept saying his name when I talked about him. And yeah. So it says here, I'm just trying to expand it a little so that you can see, but I'm going to put all this up on my blog. It's oh no. I'll tell you in a second when I remember the address. It's todayichooselife.blogspot.com. That's today with number 2, as not spelled out TODAY, but just today. I choose life at blogspot.com. So basically, one of his threats, besides threatening again to have my income taken away, that was a big theme with his previous threats in last August. This was posted in April of this year, 2025. He threatens that they request child protection involvement due to threatening behavior uh, toward a minor. Your behavior towards other people's children, as confirmed, I just keep putting my finger over the thing, as confirmed with all of my witnesses, is a threat to society. And given that you are a caretaker for your own child, will result in a forced assessment. You have brought your child to some of the above cases locations, involving them in your civil and criminal proceedings. Should I need to contact the family ministry or public guardianship in BC and will be forced to prove should I need to contact the family ministry or public guardianship in BC, you will be forced to prove that you can safely care for a child through psychiatric testing and mental health evaluation. This is quite hilarious because I have no intention to care for a child. I don't babysit. I don't have a minor in my care. I do have a 26-year-old adult child that um, requires some care from me. Um, they're disabled, and so I do some things in a very unofficial capacity. I'm not anyone's legal guardian or legal caretaker. I just do a little cooking and cleaning and help um, my family member get groceries and things of that nature. That's it. And they're a fully autonomous adult that can make their own choices about where they live and whom they live with. And so we'll go in very soon to what this person is alleging I did to a minor, which is a lie. And we'll just let me see here. And it's taking a while to load, but okay. My hands are sweaty. Okay. Um, so this was a comment that he wrote about maybe 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that. My sense of time is off, but and this was a comment on his cease and desist because he's upset that I'm making this um my blog and these videos and talking about my experiences. And first of all, what I wanted to say actually really quick about defamation is that there are legal forms of defamation. So if, for instance, a public figure like somebody in the local government who, makes decisions that affect the citizens of our town, for instance, a board of variance member for our city, uh, it's a public interest thing, so that definitely comes into account with defamation and whether or not it's legal. And I believe that I am um, the things that I'm bringing to light are in the public interest, both the things that were done to me and also the negligence with the RCMP um, not listening to my pleas for help and refusing to look at my evidence because, well, I believe he was friends with one of the officers, and I'll get a lot more into that. And I am going to be filing a complaint with the BC Human Rights Tribunal um, against the Campbell River RCMP for disability discrimination, as I believe they didn't help me because partly because I was severely mentally ill. They also used that back to gaslight me um into like saying there was just nothing happening. And um so yeah, I'm going to be taking action against them, but where was I going with that? Yeah, with the defamation thing, definitely another thing that comes into account is what you're saying, what you're writing, what you're publishing, is it true to the best of your knowledge, and is it or is it a good faith opinion? Like, you can't say, in my opinion, so and so is a Nazi child molester. That's not a good faith opinion unless they actually are, or you've seen evidence to make you believe that they are. But just saying that, of course, making shit up, not legal defamation. But um if you have personally been subjected to abuse by somebody, you can talk about it, and particularly if it's a public figure. And I feel like the power imbalance here with him being in local government and me being this disabled person that has very few resources and whatnot is just needs to be brought to light. So um with that said, I think there are other types of defamation, like making making stuff up that aren't true, and especially things that are really egregious accusations. That's not a legal form of defamation. So here's an example of both projection and the defamation, or the kind of defamation that is not legal. So a few days ago, Sterling H. Ferris, which is Ferris Sterling's Facebook account. Just one second, I need to drink water. Oh, my water's like hot from the sun. Nasty. Um, he writes, this useless this useless sack was found guilty on all 4 charges and now has probation for over a year and a half. Nothing but criminal trash, just like I told everyone from the start. It's sad our courts take a year to deal with this kind of nonsense, but I'm glad they stuck with it. They even put her through a psych exam. At this point, she better shut up, but she now has a criminal record, and being an unfit parent, um, sorry, being an unfit parent, she shouldn't be looking after any kids, considering she chased teenagers with a knife at one point. What a POS, and good riddance. Below is the screenshot of her being found guilty. It shows all the dates she had to go to court because of her childish behavior, and the verdict clearly showing guilty. She was also found guilty on 2 other charges from another lady, lol. First, I want to say that I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, and Ferris Sterling is well aware of this. And calling somebody, misgendering somebody, um, you know, as like, he's misgendering me as a form of harassment. He isn't misgendering me because he knows that he doesn't know my pronouns, or because he's forgetting, because he has some cognitive issue. It's nothing like that. He's doing this. He's known for over a year what my pronouns are, and misgendering people deliberately is harassment, especially repeatedly. He's done this repeatedly throughout his writings. You'll see that he misgenders me. Um, but okay, so what I wanted to call attention, the thing here, the really untrue thing. Yes, it is true that I have some criminal charges for retaliating when I was bullied, and I was helpless because the police in this town don't help when you ask for help when you're being bullied. And I have mental health issues, and I was suicidal. And eventually it got to the point where I felt like if I don't do something to scare these people off, I'm going to end up either killing myself or hurting someone else. So I retaliated, and I did have a mental breakdown. I'm going to actually talk about that. I might actually make a short documentary about how this being bullied and harassed for 2 years, because it wasn't just Ferris Sterling, it was another person. I'm sorry, my hands are shaking madly. It's the pots. Um, so basically, just put this down for 1 second so I don't shake. You know what? Whatever. So I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, I do have some criminal charges. Totally own that. Totally own the fact that yes, I do have probation now for a year and a half. He says nothing but criminal trash. There's projecting because A, he harassed me. That's a crime. B, he didn't use just when I confronted him in his office, what he did to me was a lot more than self-defense, and I've had legal professionals tell me that what he did was wrong and that it was a lot more than self-defense, and I've had a legal professional tell me that they're going to help me find a lawyer who will represent me in um, a civil case against Ferris Sterling for the damage that he caused to my brain and body and psyche. And so that again, criminal trash. Yes, I'm by definition a criminal, but by definition he is very much a criminal as well. It's let's see. But the big thing, the creepy thing is the children thing, is the thing about me not being fit to look after children, right? And um oh, sorry. Um my head just went blank again. Every time I try to think, I forget my train of thought. Okay. So the thing is about how allegedly I chased teenagers with a knife at one point. Actually, I've heard from the teenager he's talking about. The teenager, there's all kinds of lies. But the funniest one that I heard was um, this kid that he's referring to, who's about 14 now, he was 13 at the time, um, was harassing my loved one for a long time, terrorizing them and encouraging other teenagers to terrorize this person. And then again, we don't have legal recourse for that kind of thing in this town. The cops, one cop, Gilman, literally told me, like, we don't really respond to bullying complaints. He, like, I don't know, this was when he was gaslighting me in the cop car after Ferris assaulted me, and I was trying to explain to him that Ferris had been bullying me, and that's why I did this. But yeah, so our RCMP is a complete joke, loves to traumatize people. That's their job. I guess they do a really good job of that. But yeah, no. The funniest story that I've heard from this kid that I allegedly here, we'll take a look at him. That I allegedly pulled a knife on was, I confronted him once when he was harassing my family member, and oh, just one sec. Hands are so sweaty. Holy shit, it's so hot. But yeah, we'll just this kid. I blurred out his face, of course, but he was harassing. This was right after first Sterling assaulted me, and I was not in a good mood, and I started screaming at this kid. I started using what I knew about his trauma against him, and just screaming at him, and because he relentless. Like, this person cannot leave the house alone anymore. A person who loved to walk around and just look at nature, walk around the neighborhood, now for well over a year has not been able to leave their home without an escort. This is how these children have affected this person. So I don't give a fuck how old they are, but I will call them out. And I called this little boy out on social media for harassing my loved one. And I keep trying to get to this funny story. Um, a year ago, he was harassing my loved one, and I started screaming at him, and he said, "Remember when you pulled the knife at me? Remember when you pulled that knife on me?" And I was just like, "What are you talking about? Oh my God." And we were under a security camera, and I was like, "What did I do to you? What did I do to you?" Like, I wanted him to repeat it, because he was yelling this in front of a bunch of people that I had done something that I'd never done. And he said, "Yeah, I remember when we were in the van and you pulled that knife on me." And I have no idea what he was talking about. But what I did do was, at one point, this boy and some other children, some of them as young as 11, these kids are incredibly neglected by their caregiver and mother's parents. They have different parents. Some of the parents, this boy's parents, has extreme substance use issues, and they neglect their child. The kid was in and out of foster homes, which probably contributes to why he's a bully. He's very unhappy with himself, but he and some kids that were as young as 11 years old were outside of my apartment filming, and they were like egging because they're mad at me because I don't take this shit. I've told them they're gonna stop. I've told them, you know, I've stood up to them. I don't just allow them to bully this person I care about. And they've also done this to me. Like, I'll be on the bus and they'll just start talking about me very loudly or saying um homophobic slurs sometimes. We occasionally they also referred to my loved one as a racist one time, which was strange. But yeah, I'm not just the type of person to ignore it, because these people were doing this repeatedly and it wasn't stopping. And I'm sure still, like, if we saw these kids, they would do or say something because they're not being disciplined. But anyway, some kids as young as 11, what I did do wasn't a knife and it wasn't a gun. Did I tell you? Is that what I said with the van thing? That was, you pulled a gun on me. That was what I meant. If I said knife, he accused me of pulling a gun on him. Anyway, um, I they were outside my apartment harassing me. They basically were taunting me to come outside, and I thought, this is the perfect opportunity to scare the shit out of these kids, because I wanted them to be afraid. I want them to be afraid to harass us, because harassment is well, I'll talk about that in a little bit, about how I believe that repeated bullying and harassment is a threat to a person's life. And so when someone disturbs your peace to that level, I think that you sometimes need to disturb their peace so that they'll get it through their head that you don't do that to people. You don't fuck with people, because some people will just fuck you up. And this is part of why I retaliated in these cases, is like, things just kept escalating and escalating, and I kept telling these people how they were affecting me, how it was affecting my health, how it was affecting my mental health, and it wouldn't stop. And so eventually what I did do, and I never did get in any legal trouble for, that's not what the other legal issues for. The other legal issues involve another adult. There's a helicopter and all, helicopter and a skateboard. um the other issues involve an adult. It was actually the caregiver of um, one of the or some of the children that were outside of my apartment that day harassing me. And so, just one sec. I need another sip of water. So basically, what I did was I took an aluminum baseball bat and I went outside and I just started slamming it against the pavement as hard as I could, and just walking towards them slowly, slamming it, as it was so loud. I was just like, my arm hurt afterwards, like as hard as, like, with as much fucking force as I could. I just wanted them to think, do not fuck with this person. I wanted to intimidate them. And because I just this was affecting my loved one so much, and it was also affecting my mental health a lot. I was having worse. I'm agoraphobic, and my agoraphobia, gets better and worse. And this was affecting my agoraphobia, because I mean, they would harass me as well, not to the same degree, but and basically, like, on this date, they were harassing me over Facebook, they were filming and sending me footage outside my apartment. So I was slamming the baseball bat, walking towards me. This little shit ran like, oh my God, you never seen anybody run so fast. It was such a coward moment. Like, but then, yeah, so I never got in trouble for that. And then later on, I confronted the woman that was caring for some of these kids, some of them as young as 11, incredibly neglectful. Um, she was also harassing me in the same vein as her the children in her care were harassing me, because the children in her care were kept telling me to kill myself over Facebook. And then later on, she told me to kill myself, and that's when I retaliated, when she told me to kill myself. So yes, I have some criminal charges for retaliating against people that suicide baited me and or relentlessly cyber stalked me. But the really creepy thing that I'm trying to get to here is that during this time, and I mean, I'm a mother, and if you're a parent, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Um, is like how did this guy think that, like, I don't know, like, this guy again was in local government. He has a reputation to uphold. I feel like he must have been having some kind of mental breakdown or something to do something this weird and creepy and pedo-y and stupid. Is And I'm not alleging he's a pedophile. I'm just saying, who the fuck does this shit? So he, to harass me around that time last August, when all this was going down, when he was harassing me, when somebody was following and photographing me and my child. I'll get a lot more into that, and um, who I believe it was and why. And we'll look at some of the harassment that I was sent during that time that I was being followed. But basically, here, I'm going to expand this. What happened was, at this time, Ferris Sterling changed his profile picture to that kid. You remember that kid was smoking a cigarette? I'll show you again, okay? He stole this photograph, blurred, but an actual 13-year-old boy who lives in our community. Here, we'll go back to the other one. So you can see that blue hat, cigarette, same kid, same picture. And he had this for a few weeks. He had changed it so that he could use his account to harass me and have the photograph of a child who had harassed myself and my loved one for well over a year by that point, caused significant trauma in my life. And and this is just another thing that he had done to me so many, and I can provide other examples of it as well, where he learned what my traumas were and then used them to harass me. That's something abusers love to do. And so yeah, he used this 13-year-old boy's photograph as his profile picture. He stole it. And of course, I tried to tell his father, and he is in and out of rehab and did not give a shit, and was just mad at me that I was telling him that he needed to discipline his kid and give his kid some guidance and spend some fucking time with his child, because his kid, it reeks of neglect. And he was just mad at me for confronting him because his kid had been a bully. He didn't care that somebody had stolen his child, and the mother too. Same thing. And I'm not knocking addicts, but the behavior is just disgusting. The mother too just didn't care. Like, oh my God, if I have homicidal ideation issues, and I know that if somebody, when my kid was 13 years old, or even fucking now, like, took my child's photo and made it their profile picture and then used it to harass somebody, or, I mean, obviously people do make, fake accounts and whatever, and you can't, but if it was somebody that was using it to harass somebody or for any reason stole my kid's photo and it was some local using it to be weird, I would start thinking, how can I kill this person? How can I get away with it? What can I do? How can I torture them? How can I make them fucking suffer? Because this is crazy. This is absolutely unhinged behavior. It's beyond the pale. Like, I had a mental breakdown around this time and I did a lot of things that were wild, but I never fucking stole a child's photograph, made it my profile picture and used it to harass someone. That's sick. That is so sick. And um sorry, my just want to see, my throat is really dry. I'm having some throat issues. But yeah, I need another sip of water. I'm running out of water. Mm. It's so hot out today. It's ridiculously hot out today. But yeah, I would be calling the police, of course. I'd be saying, hey, like, this is fucked up. This is weird, like, and creepy. Please get this fucking disgusting creep to get my child's photograph off their Facebook page. I did post his, as you know, I posted the kid's face, obviously, because he was terrorizing someone I loved, and I thought maybe calling him out on social media, maybe I'd get some support, maybe it would embarrass him, I don't know, but it was good faith. I certainly would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years change my profile picture to some 13-year-old kids to harass someone. That's so gross. And let's see. Let us see here. So what I wrote here, I'm gonna see if I can find what I wrote. It's really incredibly slow here. Oh, this is not what I was looking for. But yeah, what I had said was like, I might like hate this kid because of what he's done. I might, you know, not think he's a cool guy, but um he's a child. He's a fucking child, and you just don't take people's kids' pictures and be like, hey, you know what? This could traumatize somebody I don't like. So, like, think about it. Think about actually being like, I'm gonna take some child's photograph and I'm gonna make it my profile picture because this child traumatized somebody that I don't like. That is so sick. Like, this guy needs to get his head examined. And he talked about in his thing about I had to get a psych exam. The reason that I had to get a psych exam was because I told them that mental health had been a contributor to a contributing factor in my commission of those crimes. It absolutely was. And I told them that I have severe mental health diagnoses and that I welcomed a psych exam. I wanted it to be on record that yes, I do have severe mental health issues. I'm not just some person that at 46 years old out of nowhere was like, I'm gonna do a violent crime. No, I don't have a history of violence, nor child abuse, nor being a fucking freak and taking people's kids' pictures and putting them on the internet like this as my profile picture to just harass somebody I don't like. I've done plenty fucked up shit to harass people I don't like. But this again, it's beyond the pale. What the fuck? Like, the it, I don't know. It seems almost perverted. Like, it's gross. It's gross. It's gross. It's gross. But what was I saying? Where was I going with this? Um, oh yes, he talked about me having to take a psych exam, and I absolutely welcomed the psych exam, although it didn't go well. The psychologist Cedar O'Donnell did end up sharing confidential information about me with a bunch of people. Confidential information that she agreed in our um, in the assessment that she wouldn't bring up. It was nothing to do with my mental health, and it was just some personal information. Again, like literally nothing to do with my mental health or to do with crimes or anything like that. But she basically, yeah, she was very her and the my besides the fact that she did do that thing, break my confidentiality, she was extremely supportive of the fact that, like, she agreed that I definitely was pushed to the edge. My probation officer, my lawyer, they all agreed, like, that mental health was definitely a contributing factor, that I wasn't just a neurotypical person, totally sane, and just decided to go into some guy's office and throw liquid at him. Or I'll talk about the other thing and how I retaliated. I'll tell that whole story. I'm a very honest person. I've been told I'm honest to a fault, which is probably true, but I don't give a fuck. It's it's the autism. But basically, yeah, and I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, but yeah, basically, I had the psych exam. They did find that to be a factor, and I do think that my sentence was a lot more like I got a conditional discharge. Basically, I'm not supposed to do anything bad, not supposed to have any weapons, and within 18 months, I'm supposed to complete um, some community service hours. I was told that I might have to, like, in the order it says I might have to attend counseling, but my probation officer, I've talked to her about the fact that I've had some recent really bad traumatic experiences with counseling and therapists, and that I was kind of on a break from therapy. So after the incident with Cedar O'Donnell breaking my confidentiality, I'm done with mental health professionals forever. But she kind of agrees that maybe therapy or counseling might not be the best thing for me, but we're just seeing how it goes. And so I may have to attend some therapy. I definitely have to do 18 hours of community service. And that's totally fine. It'll be interesting because I've never worked before, and it's just an experience. I'll just break it up into little tiny chunks so that I'm just like there for a couple hours at a time, and we'll get through it. But yeah, I'm not like, and then that shows so much about how he views mentally ill people too, because he talks about me having to have a psych report as like a negative thing, and there's absolutely no shame in having mental illness, as all of us decent people know, and there's no shame in having to have psychological evaluations for whatever reason. But no, it wasn't. It's the kind of thing where I probably wouldn't have gotten a psych evaluation if I had just kept my mouth shut about my mental illness, but I thought it was relevant, and I thought it would probably help me get a lesser sentence to talk openly about my mental illness, so I did. And I don't know. The projection, though, it's so funny. Like, obviously, this guy has a mental illness. Like, you can't be sane and normal. No person that is mentally healthy takes other people's kids' photographs, children, 13-year-olds, fucking kids, and steals their photograph because they know the kid traumatized someone and uses that photo to taunt someone. That is so sick and twisted. And as sick and twisted as I am, I would never, ever, 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 ever do anything like that. so weird. Fucking weird, 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 fucking perverted, nasty, gross shit. Um, yeah. What the fuck? What the actual fuck? So that's my little blurb on projection. Have a nice day.